Okay, Robert in Illinois, here's your new President Washington. Your free Bluetooth mic for the pre-order, so I appreciate that. And here's the box. So let me flip this around so we can get you your serial number is right here. So there you go. I'm not going to do a review on these. I've done a lot with the President George FCC, and I think it's an outstanding radio for what it is, and this is going to be on par with that as far as how it sounds on the air, being on frequency. A lot of the same features, some new features on this one. What you can pretty much walk away with this one in America would be the best of the George, except for you don't have the NOAA weather. I wish that this had NOAA weather, but it does not. And then a little bit mixed in from the George 2. All be your echo and stuff like that the George can't have because it's a CB radio, and we're not allowed to have that in America on our CBs. So this is amateur radio. Yes, we can Mars it, and that's an option on the website that won't cost you any more money. So if you want to do that, select that option when you order the radio, and I will do that for you. Can show that really quick here that it is done to this radio. You can see the temp is going up to 77 Fahrenheit. I did set it to Fahrenheit. I have this set to 85 degrees. The Celsius, that range is about 86 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm sorry. So what I would like to see, and maybe they can switch this in like a firmware update or something, when you switch this setting to Fahrenheit, I would like to see this switch also. That would be more user friendly for the Americans here, that way we can just look at it and say, okay, if I want my protection to be, and I don't know what this is, let's say it's 90 degrees Fahrenheit right here, then okay, it would say 90 degrees, and so we don't have to get our smartphone out or our computer or whatever. And I mean, maybe some know, maybe some do know in America, okay, if I'm looking at 30 degrees Celsius, it's 86, but I would assume most don't. So that's just me saying that for the American market, I think a firmware update would be better to have this switch to Fahrenheit as well. But for now, this is how it is, so we'll just work with what they give us. So let's go back into our band. You can see I named the band. This is a B. I know it doesn't look like one, but it is. There's another band that's actually band B, if we can find it. That's B band right there. So it's your higher band. So you pretty much have everything here that you could want. So this is Mars enabled. It doesn't mean that you should use it there. You can receive there, use it in an emergency, whatever you want to do with your amateur radio license. So but it is Mars enabled, like a lot of the other popular, more expensive radios on the market can be Mars enabled. This is no different. So take that for what that is. If you do the reset here, you will lose that, so that's something to be aware of. Don't do the reset. There's different forms of reset. You need to reference your manual for that. If you do the band reset or the full reset, you will lose that. Now you can easily get it back, and I'm not going to cover all that right now, but there's a process to get it back. You don't actually lose the hardware. It's a hardware change, just adding a wire basically, to get that enabled. So that doesn't go away. It just goes away on the front of the radio until you enable it back through the front of the radio in the menu. So it's just an option there, but be aware of that. If you change that, it will go away for the time being. A lot of this other stuff is the same, so I'm not going to really cover too much. You can look at your DC input voltage. I'd rather have temperature. I don't care about voltage on the screen. So let's just move along to the power really quick here. So we'll just go to one of the amateur bands. We'll use 10 meter for this, and we're in upper side. When you key your mic, this is your RF power here. It goes 1 to 10. So we'll just look at level 1, just because when we're transmitting, I have it set to show my SWR, and now we can see that the temperature is slowly rising a little bit on the radio. So I'm assuming that that's going to happen rather easily until we get the fans on. Even at a lower power, you know, heat's going to build up in there. The more power you run, the hotter it's going to get inside, kind of thing. So, you know, this is about 5 watts right now. So, you know, you can see it's increasing ever so slightly. But let's turn the power up all the way. And now we're transmitting for the full power output, and I'm seeing about 83.2 watts out of it. And if we look at the temperature right now, it is increasing. I don't know if that protection is going to work or not. I don't honestly think that it is, because we're definitely exceeding what I had it set to. And maybe that's going to kick our fans on in that situation. If the fans were on the back and hooked up, I think that's going to definitely kick our fans up. But you can see already the temperature is increasing quite a bit just by talking on the radio. So, you know, this is going to be something where we're going to want those fans on the back. I think it's going to be important. So we're already at 98 degrees. Internal temperature, I believe, is what it's taking. So let's come up here to our power meter. And this is our SSB power right here. It's about 83 something odd watts, so that's definitely on par with what the radio specification is. One thing to mention about these, you're not gonna gain anything by going into the service mode or engineering mode. I would caution everyone to absolutely stay out of there. There's no reason with these kind of radios to go in there and change settings, because generally speaking, you're probably going to muck something up, and then you're going to have a expensive brick sitting in front of you. So, you know, that's my warning to all, is do not do that. It's just not worth it. 105 degrees, so it is getting warm. I think we started at 70 something. It's not really too warm back here, but that's just monitoring, you know, interior temperature. So it's something to be aware of, you know. I know they have it set to 50 Celsius, which I think is pretty warm in the Fahrenheit range. And let me do the measurement on that, because I honestly don't know. Yeah, so sorry about the shakiness here. 50 Celsius is about 122 degrees Fahrenheit. So generally speaking, if we left that at the default level, if we had our fan kits on, which I don't have any here to put on, the fans would start spinning, I think, at about 122 degrees. So, you know, this is an operating temp of the radio. I think it's not going to be a problem here at all. And you're going to want to make sure that if you're running a radio like this, you're going to want to kind of lower the power. If you don't need to run this much power, then obviously you don't need to run it. You're not going to, you know, if you can't make the contact, I guess, with like 40 or 50 watt, you're probably not going to make it with 80. So that's something to be aware of. And you can easily lower the power while using SSB just by keying the microphone and say we want to drop to RF power 5. So by doing that, now essentially we're going to do less power. We're going to do like closer to 40 watt, which is about half the power. But generally speaking, if you can talk to someone with 80, it's worth looking at it from the standpoint of, can I run less and still talk to them and make the contact and keep the conversation going? And in some cases, yes, and maybe in some cases, no. But that's all going to be about, you know, what you have sitting in front of you for, you know, an antenna. You know, not really sitting in front of you, but what you have for an antenna outside or on your vehicle or whatever the case is. And also current conditions for what frequency and what band you're operating on. All that stuff is a factor. The power really is a non-factor in a lot of ways, but for some reason power is always pushed more than anything else. So one thing you can take away from running a radio like this or any other radio that has a higher power output is you don't always need to run it at full power. It's not always necessary. So hope that makes sense. We'll switch over to AM mode really quick. Okay, so now we're in AM mode. Sorry about my voice. Stayed up too late last night. Oh, by the way, hope everybody has a happy 4th of July. Today is the 4th of July. And we stayed up kind of late. We got a good firework presentation right in our neighborhood. And also we were lighting some fireworks we bought at the store in the driveway last night. So that was fun. So we're going to be at RF level 5 here, which is about 8 watts carrier. So let's do that. There's our 8 watts right there, and then you can see we're easily, you know, a good 4-to-1 ratio right there. So this would be good for just general, maybe talking locally or something, not running everything to the absolute maximum, because it's not necessary all the time. So there's that. Now let's back this down to level 1. Okay, here's power level 1, which is, it's about 1 watt or so. So now we can see, you know, it's going to be still a good 4, maybe 5-to-1 ratio, which is really good. So not too shabby there, you know, that's typical. And then we'll put this all the way up. Let me pause this so I can do it a little quicker. Okay, here's our RF power level all the way up. It's about 20. So I've adjusted nothing in this radio, and I'm probably not going to adjust these radios. So they're gonna come shipped out exactly how they come. So that's where I'm gonna go with these, I think, because it's a newer radio and I don't want to risk anything with these radios. So I'm just gonna leave them exactly how they were sent from the factory, and it's doing good power. Most of you guys only care about power anyways, so in that sense it's giving you probably more than you'd see out of most other radios on the market right now. Let's get this set up for the power check here in AM. It's about 22 or so on AM, and then with a modulation it's going to be somewhere in the high 70 range. That's what I'm seeing here, so maybe just a touch less than what we're seeing on single sideband, but still it's doing pretty good for this type of radio. So 70 some watts of AM power. And then on FM, it's about 2.9 kilohertz, and power on FM is about 50. And then you have different power stages. You can lower it down accordingly. I think it goes all the way down to like 1 watt. So that's about how I would set it anyway, so there's no need to change that. Again, don't play around in the service mode with these. It's not worth risking the radio. That's with all the modern radios, really. I see it all the time on social media and stuff. Guys go in and they make mistakes, and then they essentially brick the radio. Sometimes you can correct them, sometimes you can't. So let's just start saying that, you know, unless we have the equipment and maybe the means to do that stuff, we should just stay out. I think that should be a norm with a lot of these radios these days. And even with me having the equipment here, it's not worth changing, because I'm pretty happy with what I'm seeing here. So Robert, I appreciate the pre-order here, and we're going to get this sent off to you tomorrow. 73. We got a few more pre-orders, and I got some more of these radios on the way, and they are on the website. The Mars mod is an option. Like I said, there's no additional charge, and we'll put the link in the description. 73. Happy 4th, everybody.